James Loughlin, Head of Technical Training and Services at Auditware. Audit function, to what extent can you automate it?
Not everything. Obviously, there's still a large proportion of the information that we're looking at in audits which is still paper-based. Mm-hmm. But anywhere where you have electronic data that you can mine and delve into further, where that might be just looking for standard exceptions, mm-hmm. or you might be looking for statistical variances and trends. Obviously, that's something that where you can better apply automation of data analytics.
And computers and network devices have been generating logs. They've been monitored by a lot of systems, the SIEM systems, security incident event management systems. To what extent is what you're doing an advance on that? How is it different?
Well, it depends whether you're looking at the quality of the data that's actually being held within the system,
right,
or how you're looking at how that information is generated and how it's moving around the system. Mm-hmm. So audit logs are really just looking at events within the system themselves. So when is the information being entered? When's it being modified and changed? Uh-huh. If something's being changed, where permission levels might be, it might cause problems with some sort of business rules. But then what we're looking at is audit analytics in terms of the actual transactions themselves, the actual information that's being stored about our suppliers and the transactions that we're making with those suppliers, how we're paying our employees. If we're paying our employees more than we should be, are we paying people who've left the organisation, things like that.
So it's actually, we never use the term analytics and data mining. To me, it conjures up this image of lots of data, and you're delving in really deep and broad, picking out much more intelligent-based information. Is that a fair summary?
Yes. For many years, you've had actual business intelligence functions where it's their job to do, analytics and reporting, predictive modelling for the business. It's moved now, and has been for many years. It's moved back to audit because a lot of the findings that are being made by this type of data analytics are things that can only be reviewed and remediated by auditors and not by the business intelligence people themselves, because they might not necessarily have the business knowledge and awareness and qualifications that are needed to actually analyse that data. So we find we have some clients who will embed data analytics, and you'll have business intelligence, you'll have people who generate the analytics, but they're not the people who review the findings. But in smaller organisations where they don't have that business intelligence function, but there's still an appetite from audit that the audit function are performing data analytics. So it becomes the auditor's job.
Right. And I don't know if this makes sense, but I suppose there's a possibility that given the analysis on the scale that Auditware and companies like that would be undertaking, it's possible to pick up systemic mechanisms, business processes, and come up with perhaps a new business logic that would perhaps shift the company's strategic business objectives. Can it have such a high-level impact, do you think?
Yes. The thing is, we have many competitors. I mean, we try and focus on our particular area. Right. So we focus on the area of data analytics, and specifically around sort of financial areas. So the main applications of our software are predominantly around audit and finance, tax. There are other applications as well, but they are the sort of core functionalities. Some of our competitors are also in our space as well.
Right.
But some of our competitors are bigger solutions, but they're blank canvases. Right. So although they have the same functionality, the same capabilities, they are specifically focused at the audit area or the finance area. And so you still need people with that sort of business acumen to be able to then build those solutions on those frameworks.
Yeah, and I remember years ago, in 20, 30 years ago, when computers first made a big impact on our everyday lives, and there's claims, and the politicians were really worried about people losing jobs. And now, I work in the computing industry. Most people I know work in that industry. So all that threat about computers taking away jobs really hasn't turned out to be. To what extent, given that auditing requires a human element, to what extent is the role of an auditor in the next few years going to be undermined by tools such as yours?
Well, we never aim to undermine them, but to strengthen.
Right.
If we speak to a lot of our clients, they'll always say that we wish that there was more that we could do, but time isn't our friend. Right. And sometimes we have to fall back on older auditing principles and processes because literally we don't have the time needed to either learn how to push ourselves forward or literally to go into those sort of areas such as statistical analysis and things like that.
So auditors are here to stay?
I would say yes, but I would say that they need to evolve with the changes that are taking place. That's why you hear the term value added a lot, value added services. What value added services can audit while still remaining objective, return back to the business. And that's the big question, is what can they do to give themselves even greater relevance? But there are some things that are happening on the horizon that they need to be aware of. So, I know that there are companies out there that are building predictive modelling engines that as you throw more data at them, they learn. They learn about the issues and they'll be able to identify actual security issues and whether transaction anomalies, things that will cause reputational damage, and the software will understand what those are. So instead of the auditor having a tool where they say, these are the rules that our data must conform to, based on the amount of data that's been provided to these smart engines, they'll be able to say, well, actually, based on the 5 years of data that you've already given us, these are items that we think we need to look at. They make those judgments rather than the human.
It's fascinating. I had no idea so much work was going on in this field. James, really appreciate it. Thank you very much indeed.
Not a problem.